Sure hope you're having a beautiful day so far. I'm in a very busy newsroom right now, so hopefully things will stay nice and calm because I have an incredible guest to welcome you to. First of all, I want to start off by saying if you are in the medical care world, especially if you're a nurse, happy Nurses Appreciation Week. We love you. We are so appreciative of you. We couldn't live without you. My mom became a nurse later in life. She was stay at home my whole life, but then once I went off to college, she decided to start her career, and so I have gotten to see firsthand for many years what that looks like to be a nurse. In fact, it's one of the reasons that I went into studying the medical field so that I could also be a medical reporter besides just an anchor. And so I would say a nurse has influenced my life just about more than anything, especially with my career. So I have a special nurse to introduce you to today, Rhonda Trotter. Welcome to Lunch for the Soul.
Hi, Melissa.
Oh, I'm so happy to see you again. And everybody, I want you to know that Rhonda wanted to be a nurse since she was a teenager. She graduated from high school and she was ready to go. And then, as life would have it, she only recently became a nurse. So, congrats to making it, girl.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well,
Still so much to learn, though. So much to
I'm
learn.
sure. I'm sure. Okay, so I'm going to just start from the very beginning of your journey because it's a really intriguing one of what got you where you are today. So let's just go back to what was going on. So first of all, I think especially as a daughter, and if you're close to your mom, you always want to do whatever makes them happy. Your mom was thinking when you were younger that the nursing field might not be such a good idea for you. What was going on there?
Well, when I graduated from high school, I wanted to become a nurse then. And I told my mom, I said, I'm going to go into nursing. And she said, no, you're going to do computers because computers is the future and they have enough nurses already. So being obedient and kind of letting my mom lead the path for me, I decided to go ahead and do the computer science, which I hated.
Oh no. And so it just wasn't flying for you. You were studying it in school or were you working? What was happening for you at that point?
Well, I received a scholarship, an academic scholarship, and I went to the University of Houston and I majored in computer science. And as I said, I hated it. And I really didn't apply myself, I think, because it wasn't what I really wanted to do. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to continue to do this. I informed my parents that I wouldn't be continuing the computer science route. And so they told me, they said, well, you're going to be on your own because we're not going to pay for your college. So it was just an uphill battle from that point on of working, trying to get funds together so that I could go back and I could accomplish what I really wanted to do, which was become a
Mhm.
nurse. So I
So
began
you
in 1983 taking classes and for the nursing.
and you were working for the post office at the same time? Did that happen that early or was that later
No,
on?
I began working at Kroger's. I was a checker at Kroger's. And
Mhm.
then after that, about 3 years later, I began working at the post office and I continued that career until I retired in 2018 to continue my nursing full time.
So not only did you have the setback of just not having that parental support you were hoping for, but then you had to stretch out your college years because you were paying for it on your own and just doing what you could to get that money. So at what point did you find out that a lot of those credits that you had were not going to work because you had stretched them out too long? So was it a 5-year limit?
Yes, they had a 5 year limit on the sciences, like your microbiology, anatomy,
The
physiology,
hardest classes, I
hardest
might say.
classes and the core
Oh.
of nursing. So I had taken those classes like multiple times because, as we mentioned earlier, life happened. So my parents, they became ill with cancer. So I had to stop to help with their treatments. I was working the postal service, and there were times when we would have to work overtime, sometimes in excess of maybe 60 hours a week. So I had to stop doing those times. So I just took those classes over multiple times and until I finally was able to complete in 2018.
That is so much to go through, and I mean, I barely got through them. I feel like my first go around, I cannot fathom. having the strength to do it again. Hopefully you gained some knowledge, so it was a little easier the second time around, right? How did you use your faith to get you through those? Because those are some bumps in life, and you could have easily forgotten your dream along the way. How did that help keep you strong and just keep your eye on the prize, so to speak?
Well, faith has always been very important in my family because I remember as a child, if we didn't go to church and we didn't pray, you couldn't do any of the fun things that you like. You couldn't go
Mm,
outside. You couldn't do anything. So faith has just always been important to me. I was a single parent. Having my parents to help me with that and just God always intervening and providing a way for me, it just helped to increase my faith. And so, seeing my parents both overcome their cancer diagnosis, seeing my son grow up to
mhm.
thrive, it just always centered back around to me trusting God and Him always making a way and Him always providing the things that were necessary and needed.
Mhm. Let's go more into what was going on with your parents. I've had my father was diagnosed with a terminal illness years ago, and I remember how heartsick I was with one parent being ill.
Mhm.
I can't imagine dealing with two and only 2 weeks apart diagnosis. I mean, it's really unfathomable. And both of them in the same hospital at the same time. So I guess that was convenient. But how did you work through those emotions of, I guess, faith over fear?
Well, during that time, it was almost like I was in a daze because it was like my father was diagnosed first with colon cancer, and then I was trying to wrap my mind around that.
Mhm,
And then 2 weeks later, for my mom to get the breast cancer diagnosis,
mm.
I was like, oh my God, what are you doing? I can't do this. But I had the support system of my coworkers, believe it or not, at the postal service. I told my
Mhm.
supervisors what was going on, and they were very, very supportive. They allowed me to have the time that I needed to go to treatments with both parents because there were days when I may go with my mom to chemo and then come home and maybe 2 hours apart, go with my dad to radiation, and then later on that day go to work. But I just had to keep myself busy so that I could not focus so much on what was going on with them. And I
Mhm.
prayed a lot and just trusted God through it all. And He helped me to get through it.
Oh, that's so huge to be able to hear, and I feel like for anybody who doesn't understand that the power of that faith, that maybe they'll look into it and maybe they'll just pop into church to see what it's all about. That's always my dream of Lunch for the Soul, that maybe somebody who's hurting right now through a testimony like yours can say, "Wow, maybe that will make a difference in my own life." So thank you for being so vulnerable to share that. Let's talk about what happened when you decided you're all in and you're going to go through nursing school. What was that like for you to be living that dream?
Well, my former coworkers at the Postal Service, if you could talk to some of them, they would tell you I was always in a medical capacity. I had a makeshift kit with all of our supplies that we needed when the medical facility was closed on the weekend. So if
Mhm.
anyone got cuts, bruises, needed cough drops or whatever, I had a file cabinet
You're
that
a
was full of
nurturing soul,
supplies.
aren't you? I love that.
So I told them probably back the late 80s, early 90s. I said, you know what, you guys, one day I'm going to leave you all and I'm going to go and be a nurse. So they all laughed and they were like, no way. It's no way that you're going to do that. So they always saw me packing books and studying and just doing different things to make preparation. So when
Wow.
my mom became ill in 2018 and they offered the early retirement, I said, you know what, this is my chance. So I helped my sister to care for her as I enrolled in those science classes again for yet
Mhm.
another time. And so I just said, this is it. I have the opportunity now. It's no longer working. I'm helping take care of my mom and I'm going to school and I'm going to do it this time. So the joy was she was able to know that I was going to finally accomplish my goal because she passed away in October of
Mhm.
2019, and I began nursing school in January of 2020.
So she knew that that
So
was you were
she
going to
knew.
be living your dream. What a blessing that she knew that. And then what I think is so amazing is where I got to meet up with you for the first time was over at Memorial Hermann Southwest, where you are just being an incredible worker. I've got some photos here of you. And certainly masks are still very important in the medical field. So these were not taken a long time ago. This is how you still are today, right?
Yes, it
Not
is.
during the pandemic. I mean, this is how it is right now. What does it feel like to be there now, working side by side with the doctors who worked just so diligently for your own family, for your parents when they were ill?
It is so amazing. And I almost can't even put it in words because part of me feels like, my parents are getting an opportunity to see me work with these doctors that were able to help them to have a little longer lifespan. And I'm actually able to not only um, empathize with the family members who are going through exactly the same things that I have, but I'm able to share with some of my patients that my family members were actually treated by these same doctors. And it kind of helps to encourage them, and it kind of helps them to be a lot more positive in the outcome because, I'm able to tell them from a firsthand experience in regards to what the capabilities of these doctors and the nurses at this same facility where my parents were.
I have to ask you, Rhonda, when you look at this picture and then glance down at that badge that you're wearing right there, and you see the letters RN, it gives me chill bumps because I got to see really as a young adult my mom go through that, and I know how hard nursing school is. I got to witness it myself, but to know that after decades of this dream that you're living it, what is that like for you?
To be honest, Melissa, I still have moments when I'm driving to work where I get very emotional because this was almost a 40-year journey because I graduated high school in 1983 and some of those classes from University of Houston were a part of my nursing degree.
Mhm.
So it's like it's just so amazing and I just feel so blessed that God allowed me to live long enough to accomplish my dream and to be able to do what I've always wanted to do in life. And it's almost impossible to put into words. That's just all I can say because I feel so blessed.
Well, I love that we get to take time just to say thank you for what you do, and all nurses, because there's a month it seems like for everything, right? Or a week for everything, or a day. But with Nurse Appreciation Week, how good does it make you feel that people will stop and say, you know what, I know you have a hard job, but you're helping keep us alive, or you're helping keep our mind in the right place after someone's struggling in the hospital. How meaningful is that?
That is the most rewarding part of my job because even though I'm still growing in the skill set, when my patients tell me thank you, and when they
Mhm.
tell me that they can tell that I care and that they see that I have the passion for what it is that I'm doing, is very, very rewarding.
Oh, it's beautiful to hear, and I know that, when I saw you there in the hospital, I could just see the light in your eyes and how much pride you took in that, and I just hope that people truly take patience and their families take time to appreciate that. What's the most rewarding thing do you feel about your job when it comes to day in, day out? Because it's a grueling job. I mean, I saw my mom work 12-hour shifts on her feet up into her
Mhm.
70s. How do you handle that? Because people don't realize what a physical job it is of picking up heavy patients, sometimes 3 or 4 times your body weight.
Yes, it's like every day there's a different set of challenges, but I have been fortunate on the floor where I am. I have nurses and other staff that are very supportive. We work together really well. They're very encouraging. They're always there to help when we need help. So it's like just one patient at a time, 1 minute at a time. And it's like you never know on a day to day exactly what all your day is going to entail. But you
So
have,
what
I'm
what
sorry.
oh no, I was just wondering what it was like. And I my brain is all over the place because I was just picturing you there at the hospital, and then I was going back in my mind and just thinking about the day you told your colleagues at the post office that you did it, that you were leaving. What was that like when they finally got to see you live that dream, and then and had to watch you walk away? I'm sure that was hard for them. You're such a loving soul.
Well, at my retirement party that they gave me, I made a speech and I told them that I would be continuing my education with the nursing and that I was going for nursing. So when I had my graduation party, some of my former postal coworkers were there, and they were
Oh,
just elated to see me doing what I do now. I've even had the pleasure of having some of them have their family members as patients. I wasn't their nurse, but I got a chance to see them and to talk to them because they were on my floor, and they were telling the nurses that I work with, she was there with us and she told us she was going to do this. So I just tell everyone, just continue to believe in yourself and just do it and don't stop until you
mhm.
reach it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you for further advice in that because I do feel that so many people we meet along the way, you may ask them if they're living the dream and they'll say, oh, not really. I'm just sort of getting by. I love that you were able to just keep that in the back of your mind and then do something about it. And you weren't worried about it being, later in your life. What would your advice be to somebody who is not doing what they love right now and they're trying to make a change? And maybe they had a dream from when they were a kid. What's that first step to not just think about it and dream about it, but do something about it?
Well, believe it or not, Melissa, that's one of the other amazing things about being a nurse. You wouldn't believe how many patients, how many family members of the patients, and some of the people that have been working with me that I have shared my story with and my journey and encouraged them because they too have wanted to do something, some of them even nursing, and they felt like they were too old or it was too late. So my advice to them and my advice to anyone is to believe in yourself, believe in God, and just know that if you take one day at a time and keep working towards that goal and never quit, you'll eventually achieve it.
Mhm. I always feel like in my life, things happen often in a different order than I pictured them or how I wanted them, or sometimes even how I prayed for them. Do you feel like it was an unanswered prayer that had happened all those years ago and that the timing is just right now that you're where you are?
Yes, I believe that because at 22, which is the age that I would have been had I gone to nursing before, I wouldn't have experienced having family members ill or some of the hard times in life. And so I'm very grateful that I am a nurse now at this time because I've gotten a chance to retire. I've gotten a chance to be on a job that wasn't as fulfilling for me. I've gotten a chance to be a parent and to see my son thrive and to have a successful career. I've gotten a chance to get married late in life. So it's like it's so many experiences that I have gotten that has helped me
Mhm,
to appreciate life, which helps me to
mhm,
be a better nurse, which helps me to
mhm.
be able to contribute more to my patients.
Wow, I mean, your list goes on and on. I mean, it's so beautiful to see, and I really hope that people will think about that. For someone who might be thinking, "Well, I've always wanted to be a nurse. I don't even know where to begin." Maybe they're later in life as well. What is your best advice of how to make that first step toward that particular career?
Well, for that particular person, I just want to just share a quick short story. My
Okay.
family members would tell you when I was possibly maybe 9, I wanted to be a nurse, but I couldn't even stand the sight of blood. I would pass out just looking at blood. I did pass out once because I was with my nephew. He was getting some sutures for an injury. So when I first told my family members that I was going to become a nurse, they laughed and they were like, "How are you going to do that? You can't even stand the sight of blood." So I would just say to do your research and get all of the information together that
Mhm,
you can, and just take the first step of seeing financially how much it would cost and if you can qualify for any type of assistance, and then just do it.
mhm,
Just do it.
mhm. And you know what? I can back up what you're saying because you do have to get yourself used to. It's just like anything. It's even like a food the first time you try it, right? Your palate has to get used to it before you might say you like it. With the operating room, the first time I was so excited to get the title of a medical reporter years ago. And the
Mhm.
first surgery I walked into was an eye surgery. And, the woman had already been sedated, but her eyes are propped open, all the sterile smells. I couldn't breathe because I felt like my mask was too tight and I passed out. And the surgery hadn't even started. And so now I can go into open heart
Mhm.
surgery and literally have goggles on because things are splashing in the OR, and I'm just in awe. I don't pass out. So you have to get yourself used to that. Is there anything that you did to condition yourself to be a nurse so that you never have that ooh moment? Because a patient never wants to see a look of disdain on their nurse's face.
Well, believe it or not, this was prior to my graduating. I was also a nursing student beginning at in the associate degree program. So
Mhm.
my professor then, she was aware of my fear of blood and my not being able to. She actually put me in a situation once doing a clinical, and she had me to go in the OR. I was supposed to be training with the OR nurse. And so they had already gotten together and they said that they were going to let me be the one. It was a maternal case, and we were getting ready to do a C-section. So the nurse, she exited the room and she was behind me and she said, "Well, I'm no longer sterile, so you're going to have to help the doctors with this procedure." So they were passing the sutures and they were passing the sponges, and they had blood on them, and it was like, oh gosh, I felt like I was going to pass out. And so she was behind me and she was like, "Well, I'm not sterile, I can't come in, so you're going to have to help them because they
You
only
had to
have a
buck
few
up,
minutes."
Buttercup, didn't you? I mean,
And
it
it
was
was like from that moment on, when we went to report later that day, my classmates, they were laughing. My professor was laughing because they already knew what she was planning for me. And from
oh,
that
wow.
moment on, I have no problems with blood.
Oh, wow, it just took that one time to say for your probably for your brain, you didn't have time to react, right? Like, you had to interact in the situation, and there was no way out.
Yes.
What did wow, she knew what she was doing, and I'm guessing that's not the first time that she had to deal with that because I feel like, for the most part, people are squeamish, right? I mean, I know so many
Mhm.
medical stories that I've covered. I wanna show the whole procedure, and I'm in awe, and my producers are going, "No, no, you can't show that." So I have to reel it in. It's hard sometimes to do that. Well, with this Nurses Appreciation Week, is there anything you want us to know or anything you want us to say to the nurses in our lives?
Well, I just want to thank all of the nurses that work with me on ninth floor. I want to thank my clinical manager because she actually gave me an opportunity. She said in the interview what made her hire me as opposed to some of the other younger candidates is
Mhm.
she saw the passion when I was talking to her about becoming a nurse. So I'm grateful and thankful to all of the nurses that have helped me thus far and that continue to help me on a daily basis, and the doctors for being patient with me because I am still learning. And most importantly, for my patients, the ones who trust me enough to provide care for them. Because at the end of every shift, I go back to each one of my patients and I thank them for allowing me to be their nurse. And I encourage them and tell them that they're going to get better, they're going to get stronger, and to just have faith and to trust God.
You know what? That is just another piece of strong advice for people to don't be fearful about age and thinking that someone younger is going to basically age you out, that passion made all the difference for you to get that job. That's huge. And like I said when I met you, I can just see the light in your eyes when you talk about it. And I feel like that definitely conveys to your patients about how you feel about it. And it's not just a paycheck to you, it's something that
Mhm.
you want to do.
Yes, it's like I love it. And like I said, it's no feeling like seeing my patients when they first come in, because just this last weekend when I worked, there was a patient. I've been her nurse for maybe 4 times now because she's been there a little over a month. And we were talking, her family members were there and they were thanking me because they remembered how sick she was when she first got there. And so she should be getting discharged pretty soon. And she was sharing with them a moment that we had earlier that day when she cried and she told me thank you because she was alone when she was getting ready to go to surgery. And I asked her if she wanted to pray, and we prayed before
Mm.
she went to surgery. So it's just moments like that when I have patients and I see them get better and I see them able to go home. It's nothing like it. I just love it.
Oh, I'm so thankful for that and for you to share your testimony. Rhonda Trotter, what an honor to meet you. I'm so happy that you found your place at Memorial Hermann Southwest Hospital, where it seems like family to you now. And it seems like you all are so tight. So I was happy to see you in your space there, and I'm happy to see you here on Lunch for the Soul. Thank you. Thank you for all you do, and happy Nurses Week. We love you.
Thank you.
All right. So nice to talk to you. And I want to remind you, maybe you joined us late today and you want to see everything Rhonda had to say. We make it real easy for you. All you have to do is go to fox26houston.com, or you can also go to Fox Local, which is our app for your smart TV. It's free to download and you can watch it there on your big screen instead of your phone or your computer. Have a beautiful day, everyone. See you back here next time, Wednesday, 12:30, the place to be for Lunch for the Soul. Thank you.